Welcome to Celestial Dew, a space where we explore our inner world, where storytelling and spiritual tools deepen our connection to ourselves and the universe. My name is Rocio Celeste, and this is my soulmate and constant companion, Nuga Cosmico. We are here to share our experiences and open a space for insight and transformation. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin this journey inward. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about one of the most profound, practical, and spiritually rich books in the entire Bible, which is the Book of Proverbs. And we will explore the life of the man who wrote most of it, King Solomon, who is considered to be the wisest man who ever lived. We are going to talk about why wisdom is so vital to your spiritual life, your daily decisions, and your relationship with God and people. We will unpack key proverbs, understand their context, and see how they apply to us today. The reason I want to talk about Proverbs is because it holds a lot of wisdom. I'm not religious whatsoever. To share a little bit about my story with the Bible, I was brought up Catholic. I will go to Mass almost every Sunday growing up. Had my first communion and everything. And when I turned 19, I decided that I didn't want to be Catholic anymore. I decided that I wanted to be Buddhist. And I announced it to everyone. I want to be Buddhist. So I went through a phase, being vegetarian and everything. And later on in life, I explored other religions like Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, other different things. I didn't have a good relationship with Catholicism as a young adult. I had my own opinion when it comes to the institution and the Catholic Church, but I learned to separate the institution, the religion, to Jesus and Mother Mary and spirituality, which you don't have to be religious to connect with Jesus or have a relationship with the ascended masters, which is what I do. But 6 months ago, I went to Mexico for a moon dance. I'm a moon dancer, and it happened to fall on my birthday. The last day happened to be my birthday. Then I visited other states for a couple of days, and on one of those days, my phone happened to be stolen. So my iPhone with my virtual credit cards and all my contacts, all my information was there. So I was basically stranded in the country where I don't have any family members, and I couldn't contact anybody. I lost everything. Like my plane ticket was there. I tried to go to a local internet cafe to access my email, but it will send a code to my phone so that I could access it. And I didn't have my phone, therefore I couldn't access my email or my Instagram account. I couldn't call anybody. And I went a few days like that, basically lost, with no money, like no contacts, feeling really alone. And long story short, everything got sorted. I came back to Europe, and as soon as I came back to Europe, I had a strong connection with Jesus. Like, he basically appeared in one of my meditations, and when it was a very profound meditation where I was literally in tears, surrendering. And I recalled that I had a connection with Jesus growing up when I was very little, and somehow we had gotten disconnected when I grew up. But in that meditation, when I felt his humongous energy, his humongous presence next to me, supporting me, I couldn't help but cry because I felt so much gratitude and so much love. I will sit in front of my altar, and instead of doing my normal meditations, I had a really strong desire to just meditate with Jesus. And like every day, I had a very strong call to just read the Bible, at least for 5 minutes a day. And I didn't understand why. I never understood the Bible, like growing up, like I went to catechism and I never understood anything. Like I didn't understand what they talked about in Mass. I will get really bored in Mass. I never understood what the priest preached or what they talked about. It felt just like a boring ritual. And even now, as an adult, I don't go to church or anything. But 6 months ago, I had a strong desire to start reading the Bible, to just pick up the Bible, open it at a random page, and read it for 5 minutes a day. It was so strong, I couldn't help but do it. And I started feeling a lot of peace. I felt really peaceful in general in my life with myself. But today I want to share with you some knowledge that comes from the Book of Proverbs, which is older than the time of Jesus Christ. Let's begin with Solomon himself. Solomon was the son of King David and Bathsheba. After David's death, Solomon became king of Israel. Early in his reign, God appeared to him in a dream and gave him a divine offer. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. So instead of asking for power or money or revenge or fame, like some people at the time or even nowadays will ask for, what Solomon asked for was wisdom. And we can see this in 1 Kings 3:9, where he says, give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. He asked for wisdom. How wise is that? And God was so pleased with this humble and noble request that he not only gave Solomon wisdom, but also riches and honor. Solomon's wisdom was legendary. People from all nations came to hear him speak, including the Queen of Sheba, who said in 1 Kings 10:7 that Solomon's wisdom exceeded even the reports she had heard. Now, as I said, I almost never understood anything that the Bible said, but I do recall a story when I was about 8 years old. I heard the story of how King Solomon was a very wise judge. And at the court, he solved a dispute when two women came claiming that a baby was theirs. They came to court because they both claimed that their baby was theirs. And King Solomon, in his wisdom, what he did was, okay, he asked his assistants to split the baby in half and give one half to each woman so they will stop fighting. The other woman whose baby had died didn't care, didn't complain. Whereas the other woman, who was the biological mother or the real mom, started crying and begging King Solomon not to kill the baby. She said, no, don't do that. Just give the baby to her. And that's when King Solomon knew that she was a real mom. Because obviously she was willing to sacrifice her baby and give it away than to have it die. Which is what any mother will do, right? And that's how King Solomon knew that she was a real mom and gave the baby to her. And the dispute was solved. So that's one of the stories that I remember from when I was very little. The wisdom, the justice of King Solomon. And now, these past few months, I have been reading the Bible randomly every day for a few minutes a day. But it has become a daily habit. And it makes me feel so good. Once again, I'm not religious. I read other books. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I read other books. But lately, these past 6 months, I have been committed to reading the scriptures, the Bible, for a few minutes. What I want to share with you today is a lot of the knowledge and wisdom in the Book of Proverbs. because I value wisdom. Sophia means wisdom. And she is like a character, like Jesus or Mary Magdalene or Mother Mary. It's not just the wisdom, but it's like a character. Consider like a person that walks with you, that is giving you wisdom in your daily life. I value wisdom. Let's clarify what we mean by wisdom. In Proverbs 1:7, there's a line that reads that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. It doesn't matter if you didn't have a religious upbringing. It doesn't matter if you don't follow religious practice. The book of Proverbs is more about wisdom to apply in your daily life. Think of this as a tool to guide you when you're trying to make decisions in your daily life. It's guidance that has been given to humanity. Biblical wisdom isn't just intelligence. It's not about having a high IQ or lots of degrees. It's the practical application of God's truth in your life. Once again, if you're a bit skeptical about hearing the word God, like I was at some point, like some people are, and at some point I was, because in reality we are all God. You are God, I am God, He's God, the plant is God, we are all gods and goddesses here, right? God is in all of us. It's not something external from us. But for purposes of this episode, I'm going to be using the word God when I refer to a lot of the wisdom in this in the book of Proverbs. So when Solomon had that dream where God appeared to him and said that he was going to grant him a wish, what did Solomon wish for? Wisdom. And that is very wise, because he wanted the wisdom to be able to rule the people in his kingdom in a righteous way. The book of Proverbs is good for practical application of God's truth in your life, or divine, you can say the divine, the truth in your life. It's the ability to make good decisions in real world situations, in this dimension where we are in this physical reality. So wisdom involves discernment. What is discernment? It's the knowing of what's right and what's wrong. What does wisdom involve? Wisdom also involves timing. Why timing? Well, because we need to know when to speak and when to stay silent. Also, wisdom involves humility. Why humility? Because humility is realizing that God's ways are higher than our ways, or the universe's ways are higher than our ways. Integrity. Integrity is choosing righteousness even when it's inconvenient, when nobody's watching. You're doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. That's integrity. Here's the difference. Knowledge builds a car, and wisdom knows when, where, and how to drive it safely. You get it? That's the difference between acquiring knowledge or having wisdom. And the book of Proverbs offers you that wisdom of knowing when, where, and how to drive the car safely, as opposed to just building the car. Does that make sense? Now let's look at an example. Proverbs 15:1 says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." How many arguments in marriages, families, and workplaces could be avoided just by applying this one verse? The book of Proverbs is not just random advice. It's divinely inspired truth organized into clear themes. And we're going to explore some of these themes. The book of Proverbs is a powerful choice because it's one of the most practical books in the entire Bible. Its purpose is clearly stated right at the beginning. It says, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair. So Proverbs offer us guidance. Let's explore, for example, work and career. What does Proverbs teach us about work and career? Well, it talks about working diligently and avoiding laziness. Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. And then later, Proverbs 22:29. Do you see someone skilled in their work? They will serve before kings. How can we apply this to our modern life? Show up on time, for example. When you go to work, make sure you are on time. Excel in your craft or in your job, whether you're in business, whether you're in education, service, or creative work. Excel. Don't do the bare minimum. Go above and beyond. Diligence. Don't expect shortcuts to success. Proverbs supports faithful labor over flashy results. Now, when it comes to our speech and communication, what does Proverbs say? Proverbs teaches us that words carry weight. Proverbs 15:1 reads, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger, just like we said a little earlier. Then we have Proverbs 18:21 that reads, the tongue has the power of life and death. That's how powerful our words are, our tongue, our speech, our communication. We need to be wise about it. How can we apply it in our modern life? Well, speak gently, especially during conflict. Think before you post on social media. Encourage people. Don't tear them down with sarcasm or gossip. Be kind with your words. Learn to be a peacemaker, especially in tense moments. Now, when it comes to decision making, what does Proverbs teach us? It teaches us to seek guidance, not impulsiveness. Proverbs 3:5-6 reads, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. And then later, it reads, for lack of guidance, a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors. How can we apply this in our modern life? When making big decisions, don't rush. Don't rush big decisions when it comes to your career, marriage, money. Ask for advice from experts. You're not going to ask for advice for someone that knows less than you in that particular area. We all know more than others in one area or another. But if I'm not good at cooking, I'm not going to ask advice from someone that is worse than me when it comes to cooking. I'm going to look for someone that is excellent or that is better than me at cooking. Expert advice. Pray first or meditate. Pray, then talk to wise, godly people or spiritual people. Evaluate long-term consequences, not just short-term benefits. So here I have a line there. It's Chronicles 1:1, 3:17. It says, Solomon asks for wisdom. Solomon, son of David, took firm control of his kingdom, for the Lord his God was with him and made him very powerful. Solomon called together all the leaders of Israel, the generals and captains of the army, the judges, and all the political and clan leaders. Then he led the entire assembly to the place of worship in Gibeon, for God's tabernacle was located there. This was the tabernacle that Moses, the Lord's servant, had made in the wilderness. That night, God appeared to Solomon and said, What do you want? Ask, and I will give it to you. Solomon replied, You showed great and faithful love to David, my father, and now you have made me king in his place. Oh, Lord God, please continue to keep your promise to David, my father, for you have made me king over a people as numerous as the dust of the earth. Give me the wisdom and knowledge to lead them properly, for who could possibly govern this great people of yours? God said to Solomon, Because your greatest desire is to help your people, and you did not ask for wealth, riches, fame, or even the death of your enemies or a long life, but rather you ask for wisdom and knowledge to properly govern my people, I will certainly give you the wisdom and knowledge you requested. But I will also give you wealth, riches, and fame such as no other king has had before you or will ever have in the future. Then Solomon returned to Jerusalem from the tabernacle at the place of worship in Gibeon, and he reigned over Israel. And then it talks about how he had thousands of chariots and horses, and it goes on building. This is 2 Chronicles 1:1. 3:17. So basically it's what we said at the beginning of the episode, how King Solomon obtained his wisdom and how God was so pleased with him for his humility that he granted him not only the wisdom to rule, but also all the riches and fame that no other king knew. And going back to what I was saying about decision making, it's about asking experts for advice, asking someone that is better than you at money or at certain things. Now, talking about money and finances, Proverbs teaches us to be wise with money. Proverbs 21:20 reads, The wise store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp their down. And then later in to 7, we have the borrower is slave to the lender. What does this mean? It's asking you to save consistently, to not live paycheck to paycheck if you can avoid it. It's teaching us to avoid unnecessary debt, to be generous but not reckless. Be wise with money. Don't use credit cards to pay for a wedding or go on a trip if you don't have the money. Debt is okay if you're needing to invest in your education. Invest in something wise like a house. I myself had student debts when I was younger, and I had other sorts of debts when I grew up. But don't be reckless. You could be generous. Give when you can. In the US, the Lakota communities have this tradition where students who graduate from high school, they give gifts to the community as a sign of gratitude for their support along the way before they graduated. So it's generous. And they have a day dedicated to giving. The ceremony is called Otuhan, which means the day of giving. Because for the Lakota, generosity is very valued. Being generous is one of the main virtues. And there's a special ceremony dedicated for that, the Otuhan. It's the day of giving, where people give gifts or possessions to others to honor them. Like the teenagers when they finish school, when they finish high school, they give gifts to the community, to those who help them along the way, as a way to honor them. Being generous, it's very important. So you can be generous, but don't be reckless. And also work towards financial freedom with self-control and planning. The Bible is actually a metaphysical book, and it's a book for entrepreneurship, that the Bible teaches us how to obtain financial freedom by saving, by investing. In this episode, we are focusing on the wisdom that Proverbs offers us to apply to our daily life, like we just explored. How we use our speech, how we use our communication, how gentle and kind and wise we are with our words when we speak to others. How do we react when there is tension, when there are disputes, when there are fights? Are you putting your anger on others, or are you remaining calm and using loving words to ease the tension? Are you a peacemaker? When it comes to friendships and relationships, Proverbs teaches us to choose your company wisely. The people you surround yourself with makes a huge impact as to who you become, your mood. We often hear that if you surround yourself with 5 wealthy people, you will be the 6th wealthy person. I hear that very often. So choose your company wisely. Proverbs says that a friend loves at all times. Be loving to your friends, even when they are being impatient with you, even when they are going through difficult moments. Proverbs also says, walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm. That's something I have memorized in me. And how can we apply this to our modern life, to our 21st century life? Well, surround yourself with people who lift you up spiritually, emotionally, and morally. You don't want to be hanging out with people that don't believe in you. If you're trying to create a project, if you're trying to start a business, or if you're trying to have a side job, or just any creative project, and someone laughs at you, or they don't believe in you because they are projecting their own fears and insecurities, that's not the kind of people that are going to lift you up, that are going to motivate you in your project. And toxic relationships that pull you into sin or into self-destruction. If you surround yourself with people that are always wanting to party and drink alcohol all the time, ask yourself, is that very wise? Is that how you want to invest your time and energy and money? What benefit are you getting out of it? It's okay to have a drink and celebrate and drink champagne or wine every now and then. But if it's on a regular basis, ask yourself, what results are you getting from that? What if you change your friendships to people who read books, to people who talk about concepts and ideas, or do sports with you, care about your physical well-being? Think about it. Do an analysis of how your relationships are and if they are nurturing you, if they are beneficial for the person that you're trying to become. Perhaps it's a good moment to make changes in your life. But also ask yourself, if you're being a true friend, be a true friend who shows up in difficult times. It's not about only benefiting from a friendship. A friendship is about giving and taking. Often when my friends need help with moving, when they're moving houses, I'm always one of the first ones to show up. Or if they need someone to listen to them, I'm all ears. Be a true friend, but also discernment. Know the difference between when something is toxic and when you need to be a true friend when a friend is going through a difficult time. Ask your soul, ask the divine for guidance to know the difference, to know the right decision to make. Now when it comes to marriage and family, big one, huh? Proverbs teaches us to build our household on love, respect, and faithfulness. There's a line in Proverbs 14:1. It reads, "The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands the foolish one tears her down." There's another one that reads, "He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord." It's about marriage, right? But how can we apply this to our modern life, to our daily life? It sounds simple. It's teaching us to respect your spouse and communicate well. Proper communication can avoid a lot of misunderstanding. Here, Proverbs 19 reads, discipline your children while there is hope, otherwise you will ruin their lives. Hot-tempered people must pay the penalty. If you rescue them once, you will have to do it again. Teach your children the values of honesty, respect, and faith. Build a home culture where God, the divine spirituality, respect is honored and love is felt. And here it reads, we don't like to think of ourselves as helpless, but when it comes to spiritual life, that is where we are. You may feel helpless to break an addiction or heal a relationship. Christ gives strength to the weak. You may feel powerless to control what feels out of control in your life. Now, talking about self-control and character, what does Proverbs say? Proverbs teaches us that a wise person is disciplined and emotionally stable. Here we read, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. And then we also have one that reads, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Think about it. How do we react when we are angry? Don't act out of rage or impulse. Take a deep breath. Think about what you're going to say or do. When you're feeling that rage, master your emotions before they master you. Practice restraint, especially in anger. Practice restraint when it comes to spending. Practice restraint when it comes to pleasure. Pleasure is okay, but learn to determine if short-term pleasure is going to be worth it in the long run, or if you're better off restraining yourself from that. Make time for spirituality in your life. Pray or meditate, or when you're dancing, try to connect to source, to the divine, to the creator. Ask for guidance. Remember that the answers are in you, but you need to be able to connect with the wisdom that dwells in you. If you feel called to do so, I invite you to read the Bible. You don't have to be religious, but it can be a way to find peace. Start with Proverbs. It's not a very thick book in the Bible, but it's very profound. Recognize God or the universe or the divine or source or the creator. Whatever word you wish to use, but recognize the divine in all your plans and stay humble. Real wisdom means admitting how much you need God, how much you need help from above, from your guides, from the invisible. The beauty of Proverbs is that it meets you where you live, in your workplace, in your home, your bank account, your friendships, and your inner life. It's not about religious ritual. It's about becoming the kind of person who thrives under God's wisdom, under the wisdom of the divine. You don't need to be perfect, but if you commit to daily growth in wisdom, your life will steadily become more peaceful, more fruitful, and more honoring to God. I hope you found this episode insightful. I hope it inspired you to start reading some of the information in the Bible, especially the Book of Proverbs, and that it inspired you to meditate on these verses every day of the month. Give it a try. Don't believe me. Discover it for yourself. Take it from a person who was very disconnected from the Bible and anything that the Bible said. I was against it. For half of my life, I was against the Bible. I felt that it was a way to control people. Coming from a Catholic background, in my opinion, everything that was not in the Bible was forbidden, was diabolic. And you guys all know what I do. I connect to everything, to the elements, to the drum, to fairies, to dragons. I like everything. I believe there is truth in everything. And recently I have been finding myself very committed to Bible reading every day, dedicating 5 to 10 minutes a day, and it makes my life more fruitful, more peaceful, more meaningful. I invite you to try it for yourself. If you don't have a Bible, I'm sure you can find one somewhere in your community. Pray, meditate. Find God in yourself. God is in you. You are part of God. We are all God. My plant, my nuga cosmico, me, you, your neighbors, everybody. We are all God. We are a fraction of God. God is trying to experience him or herself through you. To me, God is more like a cosmic mother. That's why I say she. But God is experiencing herself through you, through the way you choose to live your life, how you carry yourself, the decisions you make, the pleasures you find in life, the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the music you listen to, the food you eat, the places you travel to, everything. It's God experiencing life through your human experience. You are the universe. The universe dwells in you. And God, the universe, the creator, source, the divine, has made you perfect. You are so perfect, even with all your imperfections. Like one of my friends says, you are imperfectly perfect. And I truly agree. We are imperfectly perfect. There's so much beauty, so much wisdom in you. So my invitation for you today is to read the Book of Proverbs if you so choose to. If not, I'm just throwing it out there. I feel very honored for the opportunity to share this with you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for joining me, Anuga Cosmico, in this episode of Celestial Dew. We will be back with more ways to connect yourself to your inner world, with more ways to find peace in yourself. Until next time, stay wise.